What is up guys, Jonah here, and today we're going to be working on the all-wheel drive RC Drift project to try and get it running by tonight, because tonight I'm going to be heading out to Super G for the last open track session at the original track that they've been using for the last few years. Super G is relocating, so yeah, this is going to be officially the last session to run on that track, and I thought it would be a good idea to try to bring this out to slide. It is a rear-wheel drive specific track, but I'm going to see if I can get permission to slide on it. We'll see how that goes later on. But yeah, I might as well go ahead and start getting this running just in case best possible outcome happens. So we're going to be installing the parts that you saw from the last video. That will be the bare minimum to get this running. So we have this motor cam, which I removed from the motor mount that was included with the parts from Nick, and this will allow the motor to be mounted onto the chassis, so that will get me the power to the wheels. And then we also have the steering servo horn, which will attach to the servo and allow me to steer the car. So to begin the install for today, basically I'm going to start with what I believe is the easiest part, which is the motor cam. I think all it's going to have to take is that I remove the pinion from the motor, slide it through the motor cam, screw the motor in, and then mount the motor cam into the motor mount. So that's a pretty simplified explanation of how to install it. I might have to mess with the mesh for the pinion gear and the spur gear, but hopefully that's not too complicated. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, so now we have the motor mounted to the chassis. One thing that I ran into was that I actually had the wrong pinion attached to this motor. So yeah, when I was originally trying to fit the motor into the motor mount with the cam, the motor wasn't sitting correctly, so I checked all my other pinions and found one that worked. So yeah, the spur gear and pinion gear are somewhat meshed. We'll see how that works out when we have actual power going through the drivetrain. So now what I have to do is mount this steering servo horn onto the servo, and then from there I'm going to have to connect the top, I think what is called a ball joint, to the steering linkage, and I should have steering. But to do this, I think I need to have the servo centered, so I'm going to have to power it, which will require that I get a receiver, transmitter, and battery and connect it to the ESC. And yeah, that should get the servo centered, and I should be able to mount this accurately without having to do too much steering trim later on, hopefully. So I'll go ahead and get those. So now we have the servo installed. So all that's left is the ESC, which is over there. I'm going to use that double-sided tape over there to mount it here, and we'll temporarily mount the receiver because that receiver actually gets used by the camera car. But yeah, we'll temporarily mount that and see how this thing runs. Okay, so I was trying to mount the battery, but it seems like the stock battery mount that I have of it isn't cooperating with the battery. It might be because this car was designed for like nickel metal hydride. So basically the battery cells are like more of a circle, so they would fit, I think, in these ridges and along with the ridges in the chassis. But since this is a lipo and it is kinda a little bit puffed, not like badly puffed, but it's a little bit deformed. It's not fitting. It's fitting into the chassis fine, but trying to mount it to the chassis with the battery mount isn't working. So I might have to resort to using double-sided tape on that. But yeah, let's see if the car works. The gear mesh might be too tight. I'm going to see if we can go ahead and adjust that because there is a little bit more of a screeching sound than I do remember, but I don't know if I'll actually be able to fix that or if it's just my memory. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mess around with the gear mesh real quick. So that does sound a little bit better than the gear mesh that I had earlier, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, and yeah, we should be ready for Super G tonight. So I have to get all the other camera stuff set up right now and charged and ready to film as well. So we'll see if we can drive this at Super G. I'll catch you guys up more once I get there. So we're here at Super G, and I got permission to drift the all-wheel drive on the track, and it's like 1 a.m. right now, so the track is pretty empty. I'm just going to go ahead and get the receiver off the follow car onto the Drift Project and see if we can get some slides in. Where's the time? Copyright. That was pretty much the last session at Super G. So it's the last time we're going to be able to see this place and drift inside of it. This is the original location where they've been doing RC drift for the last few years. And yeah, I was able to get a few laps in with the all-wheel drive RC Drift Project. I ran into probably like 2 issues. So the first issue was when I first tried to run it, the pinion lost contact with the spur because, I don't know, when I set the mesh, I guess I didn't set it tight enough. And then after I had help with that from Aiden and Alan, I was able to get that going. But then I took it outside to do a few, like a little test run. And then good thing I did that because the steering linkage ended up being disconnected from the servo and I lost steering. But that was an easy fix. I was just able to get the ball joint attached to that cup again. And from there, I did another test and it was able to hold up outside, so that's when I decided to put on a track. And yeah, got some good laps in. The car is super fast on the track for some reason. Like, it's really grippy. So yeah, but we'll see how it does in other locations besides Super G. But anyways, so we do have a little bit of a hint as to where the new Super G location is, and we're gonna go ahead and drive there real quick because it's close by and might as well. That's pretty much goodbye to Super G, at least for this location. Never gonna really see it again. And wow, what's that? It's Super G. So yeah, this is really Super G's new location. The old one's over there, and this is a new one. And to be honest, I was quite surprised that they're literally in the same plaza or business park or center, whatever you would call this. I think that a lot of us, when they announced that they're relocating, thought they were moving like, you know, maybe 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. They said within the same city, and this isn't really what we expected. But it's gonna be cool to see what they come up with. I just talked to Steve and Joey, and they said that the grand reopening is going to be on July 10th. So I'll be definitely trying to make it out there. But yeah, with that shown, that's pretty much all that I have for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and you know, we finally got the all-wheel drive RC Drift Project running. So we'll see what we can make with that in the future. But yeah, I'm pretty much going to end the video here. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you guys next time.
She got the power in her hand to shock you like you won't believe. Somewhere in the Amazon.